Good afternoon. Thank you. How's everyone today? Excellent. Good, good. My name's Amanda McMullen. I'm the president and CEO here at the New Bedford Whaling Museum, and I am delighted to welcome you to the 122nd annual members meeting of the Old Dartmouth Historical Society. Go for it. As members, it's important for you to hear from me directly that you make everything we do possible. All of our successes are your successes, and I want to thank you for that. Before we begin, I do want to recognize really important people who are in this room, in addition to our members. I first want to start with members of the museum team. If you can, stand up, wave your hands so you can be recognized. Fantastic group. Thank you. Also, we have a number of members of our volunteer council here, ably led by Bob Saltzman, who is our volunteer council president. Please thank our dynamic partners in education, volunteers. Stand up, wave your arms. Thank you. And to our incredible trustees, I'm going to put you on the spot. Stand up, wave your arms around this incredible group of leaders in the community who help guide every step of our way. To our trustees. Here, here. Thank you. Thanks for indulging me. I know people hate when you get stand up and you're forced to do it, but thank you. Erwin, I will not force you to stand up. Of course, I do finally want to welcome you, Dr. Jacobs, your grandson Connor, and assistant Denise. You brought everything to New Bedford except the sunshine with you from the West Coast. You are New Bedford's favorite son, so thank you for joining us for our annual meeting. So this annual members meeting, it marks many transitions and milestones. First, and almost impossible to believe, it will be the last one with Tony Sapienza at the helm as board chair. Wow, Tony, you officially get to retire. You finally get to do it. We are also coming to the end in this year of our 5-year strategic plan, a really dynamic plan that stood importantly on 4 inspiring and aspirational goals for this museum to boldly welcome, engage, steward, and thrive. And in many ways, developing this in 2020 was a really interesting year to find our purpose and future. But even as difficult as 2020 was, we had this extraordinary roadmap for the future, and a lot has actually happened since 2020. To start with, we have welcomed 518,508 guests through our doors since 2020 and our strategic plan. Our annual fund, which you are so amazingly supportive of, has grown 35%. Our member households are up 26%. We graduated more than 24 high school apprentices from the city of New Bedford. We served over 44,000 students since that time. We increased our New Bedford visitation by an incredible 20%. Overall, in fact, standing here today, year to date, our visitation for our first 5 months is the highest it has ever been in the first 5 months of this museum's history of 122 years. And in fact, it's even running 19% ahead of this time last year, and last year was our high water mark, so it's exceptional. The number one question I get asked since March 24th is, has the South Coast Rail made a difference? And it has. I'm delighted to share with you that since that rail opened and came to New Bedford after about 40 years in the making, we have seen growth in Boston zip codes visiting the museum in the same time year over year to last year. We are ahead 95% in Boston zip codes. So the train matters. And finally, since developing our strategic plan in 2020, when things got complicated quickly and we had to be very quick, clever, and pivot and rebuild, the museum has rebounded our visitation by a whopping 380%. That's good. We are the envy of most cultural organizations, I will tell you. So, as politicians like to say, the state of our museum is strong. And so strong that I invite you to enjoy a quick highlights reel of 2024.
If 2024 were a sentence, we know how it would end.
Not with a period, not with a question mark,
but with an exclamation point.
Because this year was big.
In 2024, we welcomed more than 82,000 visitors to the museum.
Welcomed more than 11,000 participants to public programs and events.
And we had 3 traveling exhibitions that reached another 58,000 people across the country for a total of 140,000 people.
Membership continues to grow 5% each year. Membership grew to nearly 2,300 households this year, a 26% increase since 2020.
Our field trip visitation increased by 10% with over 6,500 students visiting the museum. Volunteers donated over 13,000 volunteer hours.
In 2024, we didn't whisper.
we shouted with joy, with curiosity, with impact.
And if this is what 1 year can do,
just imagine what comes next.
And we're just getting started.
We are just getting started. That is a true statement. So since 2018, I have had the opportunity to work with Tony Sapienza in his capacity as board chair. He has been nothing short of a true partner and an extraordinary champion of both this museum, but the community, Tony, and you know that. And now, for what is hard to believe is the final time, I will invite Tony Sapienza up here to preside over the annual members meeting as board chair.
Thank you, Amanda, and the whole museum team for all of your efforts to put an exclamation point on 2024. What a great year it was. This meeting marks the end of my tenure as board chair. It has been an honor to serve as chair of a dynamic, exciting organization throughout an extraordinary 7 years. I hope you all are as proud as I am of what we have accomplished. There are many people I want to thank. First, my predecessor as chair, Carol Taylor. Carol, thank you for your leadership, your behind-the-scenes counsel, and your 6-year wait to finally step down as immediate past chair. Your steady support has meant so much to me, and I must say, I certainly didn't expect the challenges we would face right out of the gate. The first challenge was the abrupt departure of our previous CEO, and I was honored to chair the search committee. The hiring of Amanda McMullen was a turning point. From the start, we knew she had the skills, experience, and passion to not only fulfill our mission, but to help us realize our dreams. And then the bold decision to exhibit the Russell Purrington Grand Panorama of a Whaling Voyage. The board's commitment to that exhibit at Kilburn Mills was transformative. It proved to us and to the wider world that we could display exhibits outside our existing buildings, that we could fund an ambitious growth strategy and become a true national destination. The result, 30,000 additional visitors just for the panorama, and a new level of visibility and pride. Without that panorama exhibit and without Amanda's leadership, I truly believe we would not be on the verge of building the new Exhibition and Welcome Center on William Street, a project that will bring world-class traveling exhibits right here to New Bedford and will enhance our ability to send our world-class exhibits across the country. We then embarked on a strategic planning session in the summer of 2019. Great conversations and deep dive sessions with a consultant that helped us arrive at a new mission statement and a renewed sense of purpose. That mission still inspires us today, and I want to say it aloud so that we can never forget our unwavering commitment to it. The New Bedford Whaling Museum ignites learning through exploration of art, history, science, and culture, rooted in the stories of people, the region, and an international seaport. Of course, progress is never a straight line. Fast forward to March 2020. Could any of us have imagined the gut-wrenching decision to close the museum due to a global pandemic? We were blessed with a leadership team and our board of trustees who understood that our top priority was to protect the staff, even without visitor income. Because of that commitment, we have come back stronger, and today our visitation and attendance are the envy of peer institutions. These past 3 years have also deepened our connection to the community and social justice. As the grandchild of immigrants, I believe deeply in the promise of the American dream. Diversity, equity, and inclusion at New Bedford Whaling Museum are not just buzzwords. They're about telling the full story of our region and celebrating all the peoples of old Dartmouth. Nothing has been more important than sharing the whaling story and our regional history through the eyes of Azorean and Cape Verdean immigrants, African Americans, indigenous people, and women, so that new generations can understand the struggles of their ancestors and feel pride in their strengths, resiliency, and accomplishments. In the following spring, the museum was presented with the opportunity to acquire the Hiller Building on William Street. I'm incredibly grateful to the Board of Trustees for seeing the vision, embracing the risk, and working so hard to make the acquisition of the building a reality. Once we acquired the building, we had to then figure out what to do with it. The result was campus master planning, a year-long effort to map a 30-year plan for growth for the museum based on the 4 action verbs from our strategic plan: welcome, engage, steward, and thrive. The result was the creation of a master plan that will inform our growth for decades to come. We could talk all night about buildings, programs, and exhibits. This museum is an extraordinary institution, and we can be justifiably proud of its 121-year legacy. But for me, what I'll cherish most is something much simpler. It's the impact the museum has on visitors and on people. The next time you're at the museum, don't just look at the whale bones or the art. Watch the people, and you will see joy, curiosity, wonder, learning, and discovery. Look at the faces and feel good, truly good, about what we've built together and what we still have ahead of us. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for the opportunity to have led this extraordinary institution. And I want to thank you all again, all of you, staff, volunteers, trustees, and members, the people who have made this place so remarkable. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I got that done without being too emotional, but sometimes it does get to you, you know, so anyway. Before we begin the business meeting, I want to ask for a moment of silence to recognize a dear friend of the museum who we lost earlier this year. Bill Blasdale, Bill's wife, Mary Jean, is with us today. Bill was the definition of a pillar of the community. And Bill and Mary Jean supported the museum in various capacities for decades. I know we will all miss Bill very much. Can we have a moment of silence to remember Bill? Thank you. I would now like to ask for a motion to open the 122nd Annual Members Meeting of the Old Dartmouth Historical Society. Is there a motion? And a second? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Now, let's watch our report on financial position delivered by Wick Simmons, Treasurer and Chair of our Finance Committee, and Michelle Taylor, our Chief Administrative Officer and CFO.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Wick Simmons. I've been the treasurer here at the Whaley Museum for the past few years. About to pass it on to Ricardo Bermudez another year. Before I start, let me just say thank you to all of you in the room and those who couldn't be. Thank you for supporting us as well as you have here. You've enabled us to do things that maybe we hadn't envisaged back 4 or 5 years ago. And it continues, as you know, to this day. We start 2025 in very strong financial condition. We've got, by Whaling Museum standards, a fortress balance sheet, not quite JP Morgan standards, but certainly by ours. We're carrying no debt. We have about 10 years of small surpluses behind us. We have record attendance at the moment. In fact, I think in the first quarter of this year, it was a record all-time attendance in the first quarter. We have a clean audit we just received within the last month. We have a $20 million endowment, and thanks to Bernstein, our endowment manager, it's held relatively constant here in the market turmoil of the past month or so. And we have a strong financial administration. As you know, Michelle Taylor, who is the CFO here at the Whaley Museum, has been here for about 13 years, knows us inside and out. So as we face the building project of 11 William, we have no better person to keep control of our dollars and cents. But we do have our challenges, and they are significant. First of all, we're a little nervous about what operating interruptions there may be next year. As you know, we have both demolition and construction subsequently. And when you have that, we're going to have a mess in terms of traffic. We're going to have to lead people to the front door. Will that curtail our attendance? And to offset that somewhat, we have made a decision here that we are going to take another percentage from 4 3/4 to 5 3/4 out of our endowment next year. And that's about, as you can figure, 1% on 20 million, about $200,000. And add that to our operating revenues just to cover hopefully what we may find is a shortfall given the operational interruption problems. We also face again the need to do dual fundraising. I mean, we both got to fulfill our annual fund goals and at the same time go out and continue to raise the monies we need to build the new building. So we have a real challenge ahead of us because, as I say, we've also got to fulfill our annual fund goals. Those are extremely critical operating monies for us. And finally, we've got to battle with these unsettled markets that we've had for the first 3 or 4 months of this year. Every donor checks to see what they think they're going to have the next 2 or 3 years, and when markets are unsettled, it creates a certain hesitation. That's a little bit difficult for us in a fundraising environment like we're in, but I do think we can overcome it. So these are our challenges in 2025, along with the usual operating ones. But now we know we can count on your support. I know full well that we can get through this. 2025 is really going to be an all hands on deck year, and we need everybody. Thank you in advance for your continued support. Michelle?
Thank you, Wick, for that great recap of 2024. and your outlook for the exciting year ahead. Let's now take a quick look at the numbers. 2024 was the first year in 5 in which we operated without the help of pandemic relief funding. With strong donor and membership support and continued growth in visitation, we stood on our own in fine fashion. With thanks to all of you, contributed income totaled $3.3 million, which is more than half of our total operating income. Our dedicated volunteers and docents logged more than 13,000 service hours, with a contributed gift value of more than $530,000. Investment return allocated to operations, also known as the endowment draw, was $890,000. Our hardworking museum team executed compelling exhibitions and programming which drove visitation and related earned income. We saw a 27% increase in member attendance and attracted more than 82,000 visitors overall. As a result, revenue from admissions, memberships, and public programs increased by 8%, 10%, and 44% respectively. Operating expenses were carefully managed, 77% of which were deployed directly in support of our program. Total 2024 operating income of nearly $6.2 million exceeded operating expenses by $147,000, another operating surplus on the books. With new gifts to the endowment plus portfolio gains, the endowment grew from $18.6 million to $20.6 million at year-end. Our balance sheet continues strong and without debt. With a big lift from the capital campaign, our financial position is stronger than ever, with more than $50 million in net assets. In addition to receiving a clean audit opinion for 2024, the museum once again earned the highest GuideStar Candid Platinum Seal and the highest 4-star rating from Charity Navigator. This demonstrates the museum's commitment to fundraising efficiency and strong fiscal management. As Wick so aptly noted, 2025 is off to a great start, but not without its challenges. Know that the team is working hard and is ready to meet those challenges. Thank you to all of our generous supporters and loyal members. You make it all possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Wick, for your service as treasurer. Your guidance and wisdom have been so valuable to the museum. I will now open the voting portion of the annual meeting. I would further ask for a motion to accept the slate of votes as noted in your programs on the screen behind me and shared online in advance of the meeting. Is there a motion to accept the slate of votes? And a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? There being none, the motion carries. First item of business will be, I am pleased to welcome Davis Webb, Chair of the Governance Committee, to report on the work of the Governance Committee and call for the first 3 votes.
Thank you, Tony. I am honored to report on behalf of the Governance Committee. Collectively, this group guided the museum through important governance matters and found the right balance to position the museum moving forward. I want to extend my appreciation to the Governance Committee members, Susan Costa, Carl Cruz, David Gomes, Michael Keating, Bruce Rose, Tricia Shade, and Carol Taylor. Thank you for their dedication and thoughtfulness and their dedication to the detailed approach that we took to this. As a point of procedure, I want to note that in addition to the proxy votes previously cast by members, I will ask for a show of hands to conduct our voting process. For our first vote, we will approve the revisions to the bylaws that have been recommended by both the Governance Committee and the Board of Trustees. The fully updated bylaws have been posted on the website, which are accessible via the QR code on the back of your program. And we also had paper copies available as you checked in. I would look for a motion to approve the amendments to the bylaws. Do we have a second? Is any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? And any opposed? The motion to amend the bylaws passes. We will now move to approve the trustees nominated for a second term. These include Gilbert Perry, Victoria Pope, Lisa Whitney, and Susan Wolkoff. I'll accept a motion to approve nominees for a second term. Thank you. Do I have a second? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Aye. And any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you to our returning trustees for their continued service as part of the class of 2028. We will now vote to approve trustees nominated for an extended term. These include Doug Crocker, Ed Howland, and Wick Simmons. Motion to approve the nominees for an extended term. Second? Okay. All those in favor? And any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much to our extended term trustees for your continued service. And now I would like to invite Tony Sapienza back for his final 2 acts as chair of the board.
First off, I would like to recognize our 2 departing trustees and thank both Ralph Martin and Jean Montero for their dedicated service and leadership. Ralph couldn't be with us today, but Jean is here, and I'd like Jean to come to the stage to receive a gift from the museum in appreciation of his service. Where are you, Jean? Oh, there you are.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to acknowledge receipt of this token of appreciation for my years of service. I am very thankful to have received this, although I wasn't looking for anything except thank you, Gene. Nice job. I will say that it has been both my pleasure and with gratitude that I accept this token of appreciation. I've enjoyed my tenure as a member of the board. I've been part of such a wonderful, talented group of trustees over the years, starting back about 2010. So we've all worked under the capable leadership currently of Anthony Sapienza. Before him was Carol Taylor. Before her was Armin Fernandez and John Garfield before Armin. Very capable leadership, and I must say that we are a very talented group of trustees. I will pat myself on the back with that as well. So I'll conclude by saying to Amanda, as I've said to you personally and privately, that I was here under previous leadership, and I thought we were going in a great direction, which we did. But you, my dear, have taken us to another plateau. I'm so proud of you, and I wish you Godspeed and good luck the rest of the way. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Jean. All right, folks, it's my last act, my last job. I am pleased to move forward and ask for the nominations to vote to approve a slate of officers for 2025, 2026. The slate of officers are Davis Webb as chair, Bernadette Souza, vice chair, Ricardo Bermudez, treasurer, and Paulina Aruda as clerk. Is there a motion to nominate these four outstanding trustees? There are. Okay, is there a second? Okay, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? There being none, the motion carries. Congratulations, Davis and Fu. I am pleased to welcome Davis Webb to preside over this meeting and say a few words. Davis.
Thank you, Tony. And so the torch has passed. A celebratory dinner last month for Tony. At that dinner, the museum gifted Tony with this original work by local artist Roy Rosso, focusing on a view of the museum from up Center Street. We chose this as a nod to Tony's tremendous influence on the museum and on downtown New Bedford through his work with the New Bedford Economic Development Council and other local organizations. Thank you, Tony, for the museum's torch burns brightly and can be seen from afar. We owe it to you and those that came before you to build upon where we are to make that museum's torch burn ever brighter. Thank you. Now, I would like to call for a motion to close the voting and business part of this meeting. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? All those in favor? Well done. Thank you. All right. I want to invite Amanda McMullen back to the podium for special recognitions.
Thank you, Davis. Congratulations to the new officers and the whole board. I look forward to another vigorous year of lots of good work ahead. So thank you all, and especially congratulations, Davis, Bernadette, Paulina, and Ricardo. So miraculously, the gods of the calendar aligned for our annual meeting to coincide with Erwin Jacobs' visit to New Bedford. I think for the first time in a long time, Erwin. So we are so grateful to have you here. As many of you know, Erwin grew up in New Bedford before heading off to Cornell, MIT, University of California, San Diego, where he settled in with his beloved wife, Joan, and his family on the West Coast. The founder of Qualcomm and a person with one of the single most remarkable careers, I think it's safe to say. The amazing thing is that Erwin has never forgotten his hometown. That's true. Along with his extraordinary partner in life and philanthropy, his beloved wife, Joan, Erwin has made significant contributions to not only the Whaling Museum, but so many wonderful organizations here in service to the community of Greater New Bedford. I speak for everyone, Erwin, when I say to you, we are forever grateful for your support, your care, and your kindness. It's a distinct honor for me and on behalf of everybody here to welcome you to the podium to share a few of your thoughts, if you're willing. No pressure, Erwin, no pressure.
about right. Well, it is very special for me to be able to come back, not every year, but almost every year, to visit New Bedford, and always during that visit to come to the Whaling Museum and see the progress that's been made over the number of years. I go back to my childhood when I used to visit the Whaling Museum occasionally. And the major change, in a sense, I keep telling people, is that when I was young and small, Johnny Cake Hill was very steep. These days, it appears a little less steep, so that's a bit of a change. The other change, of course, is all the energy that's gone into the museum, all the changes that have been made in the museum, changes for the future as well. And so that's been very, very exciting to me. My wife, Joan, was born in New York City, but also maybe didn't have too much of a choice, but also adopted New Bedford as a very happy place to come and visit. I did leave New Bedford at age 16 and went off to Cornell where I met Joan. Then went on to, as was mentioned, to MIT, taught there for 7 years, went on to, decided to go to California and have a rather different environment, but also work with a brand new university that was just starting up. So I had the opportunity to help shape the curricula and meet a whole set of different students. And so that was exciting. And then somewhat accidentally, because I had a lot of invitations to consult, and typically one only consults a day a week when you're on the faculty, I mentioned that to two friends who were teaching at UCLA at the time, and they said, let's start a company and share the consulting. And so, although I had never planned to go into business, I ended up in this startup company, which began to grow quite a bit. And I found I better take a year off and get it organized. Then the question was whether to return to teaching. And I must say, I always enjoyed the teaching process, including writing the first textbook on digital communications while at MIT. And then I decided that I've been teaching tech theory really for many, many years, a lot of very mathematical subjects. And I kept telling students, yes, this would be applicable to the real world. And so my thought, my rationale on leaving teaching at that point after 13 years and going into business was indeed, you could demonstrate that that theory indeed was very effective and would be promising in the real world. My first company grew 50 or 60% a year, called Linkabit. We then decided to sell it to, or merge actually, into a company that was on the New York Stock Exchange because the employees, that would give them some ability to sell their shares and get some return on that. And for a couple of years, we were actually the highest multiple on the New York Stock Exchange. The company that's merged with was Maycom out in Burlington, Mass. In any case, so that was an exciting thing. But things changed. I decided to leave after another 5 years and retire. And it was first of my failed retirements. Some of the other persons I'd worked with at Linkabit said, let's do it again. So after thinking about that for 3 months, I decided, okay, let's try again. And I assured my wife, Joan, that don't expect the kind of growth we saw at Linkabit. We might get up to 100 students. By the way, both companies, well, certainly Linkabit, which started with consulting, but also Qualcomm didn't have a product in mind, didn't have a spreadsheet in mind. We didn't have any numbers and so on. But we decided to give it a shot. Digital and wireless should be a good area. In any case, Qualcomm did grow very rapidly. I won't go into the details, but the phones that you're carrying in your pocket probably all have at least one Qualcomm chip in it. And I'll finish with the most amazing aspect of that. And who would have ever expected it, but we, a few years ago, had a mission to Mars, and on that mission, it had a lander, and on that lander, it had a small helicopter. The brains of that helicopter was one of the Qualcomm chips that were currently in your cell phones. And so that managed the navigation, the communication, the photo taking, the video taking, all of that one very low power chip. And if somebody had ever asked me earlier what, what you would expect from Qualcomm, the last thing I would have ever expected to have a chip of ours on Mars. So you can never tell where this world is going. It remains very exciting, and very excited to see how this whaling museum goes ahead. So thank you.
So I have asked Erwin to just wait for 1 second because we do have a gift for him. What do you get Erwin Jacobs? A man who has everything and has done everything, but we have a copy of Herman Melville's epic tale, Moby Dick. You're all familiar with it. And we've had members of the community sign it with their own epic tale to you, to essentially be a gift of a love letter to you for all that you have done for the community.
This indeed is very special, but about 12 years, I don't remember exactly the timing, we supported a new opera, which was first shown by the San Diego Opera, then went to San Francisco, Moby Dick. And it was fascinating. We even supported a video that would go on national broadcasting. That opera, Moby Dick, was shown just a month or so ago, done at the Metropolitan, the Metropolitan Opera. And again, we made a special trip over to be able to see the Moby Dick again. And so it always brings back many memories. So it's wonderful. And although I've never been a part of it, I do follow your annual reading of Moby Dick.
Oh, thank you, Erwin, for joining us. I'm going to read to you my inscription, so I'm not telling too many tales out of school on anyone else, but just to circle it conclusion on Moby Dick. Dear Erwin, in the epic tale that is the story of your life, you have never forgotten where you came from. At its core, Moby Dick is a novel about the persistence of the human spirit when confronted with adversity. Erwin, you have given us in New Bedford the resilience to face any challenge and to meet every moment with endless gratitude. Okay, so as you've heard a little today, we keep talking about this property across the street at 11 William and this great exciting project ahead. So today, for you as members, we wanted to dive a little deeper and give you a little bit of a preview of what's to come and what we've been working on. So this, as you've heard today, we have extraordinary energy behind us to really help us push forward with this major moment for the museum. Our path is so strong. We are driving tourism in this area. We are fueling the local economy. We add over $10 million every single year in economic impact to this community. We are opening hearts and minds, and we are the #1 desired cultural attraction south of Boston, period. Yes. So to accelerate our growth and the region's potential, we are building a state-of-the-art premier exhibition center. It will be transformational. Tripling our gallery space for special exhibitions, we will have room for our own collections and even the panorama when it comes back from its tour in Minnesota. Right. We will also have room to bring in major tours, touring shows from leading institutions across the country, and we have already booked our first traveling show from the Smithsonian for our new center. This new center will welcome our guests warmly, and it will invite them to think deeply and boldly. It's an unbelievable moment for all of us. So very soon this summer, you will start to see some of the site work and demolition will begin. The beloved Hiller Building will go away. Who's going to miss the Hiller Building? Okay, so we are taking care of blighted property right all at once. So we will be clearing the way this summer and getting ready for the construction that's ahead of us. The most extraordinary thing to announce for you today is the fact that our early support, the early investors in this capital effort, which is called the Open Doors Capital Campaign, it kicked off last January 2024. And in just a little over a year, we have already raised $24.4 million. But we still have more to go. So we are taking any volunteers who want to step forward and help us close out this capital campaign and the next year ahead. It's an exciting moment. We invite you all to be a part of it. There will be many opportunities to hear more about the project and the inspiration behind it and the service to the community to drive New Bedford forward. So thank you. And with that, I get to thank you for being here today to enjoy our annual members meeting 2025. It's already off to an exceptional start. If you've heard, we have dynamic summer programs and exhibitions on the horizon. I hope you will join us on June 13th for a community party to celebrate our dual Cape Verdean exhibitions. We will be opening 2 shows, one to celebrate Cape Verdean international artists, extraordinary collection of artists from across the world, all with a connection to Cape Verde, as well as the Cape Verdean community story. They will be dynamic and inspiring, and you should not miss them. I also want to put a plug in for our summer benefit, our Harbor Lights benefit, which will be on July 12th. By the way, it is the party of the summer, so July 12th, you should be there and check it out. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Erwin, Connor, and Denise for being here. Congratulations again, Davis. Thank you, Tony, for your incredible service. Please join us in the Jacobs Family Gallery for a quick reception as well. Thank you.